What is up, everybody? Tony here, Podioslave Podcast. This is episode 15, June 18th, 2020. I'm here with the guys tonight, Anthony and Nate. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good, as always. I know we say that every week, but like we do look forward to this. We genuinely look forward to this.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to it all week, especially with our subject tonight, our segment tonight.
I know I've been pretty jacked up about the segment this week, so I'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a second. So to start off here, we've got the socials like we usually do, Twitter and Instagram at Podioslave, and if you want to hit us up on the email, podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. So those are ways to get in touch with us. DMs are open. Hit us up. If you guys are liking what you're hearing, tell a friend. Have them subscribe, check out an episode. If you have favorites, send it back to them. One of our interviews, any of the segments we've gone through the last couple of weeks, just tell a friend and see if they'll give us a listen too. So that'd be fun. The set list tonight, I'm going to throw it over to Anthony to kind of run down, not give you everything we're doing, but kind of run down. And then Nate had a chance encounter that he wants to tell you about.
Yeah, actually, before I do that, I do want to shout out a couple of Robs. We get a Rob in Maine and a Rob in California. So we get dueling Robs. I know you guys are listening. You've checked us out. Totally appreciate it. When I love the dual coast representation. So thank you.
How could I forget my two Robs? I mean, geez.
But yeah, for tonight, like Tony said, Nate's got a cool story he's going to fill us in on. We've heard a little bit of it, but I'm anxious to hear that. We got a couple album anniversaries. I won't give them away, but a couple of them turning, 5 and 23? 5 and 23. So a couple big ones. And then at a moment of clairvoyance, we'll get into Papa Roach live stream up against a paywall, which we call, I think, episode 1.
1 or 2, right?
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
And then we'll get into new Deftones album and then a reissue that's coming up. And then the main segment, which is, I don't know if we gave it a formal name, but it's basically feel-good albums, mood booster albums that put us in good moods. We came to the table with a few. And we'll see how many we get to. So with that said, Nate, I'm anxious to hear this. So you had an encounter a couple days ago.
Yep.
What happened?
Well, things are kind of getting back to normal, I guess, at least work-wise. So I jumped up to LA, kind of a road warrior. So LA is kind of a second home for me. And went up there, was cruising around, dropping into accounts, talking to people and so forth. It's weird kind of adjusting back to normal life. Everything's kind of boarded up, and there's obviously protests going on, and I'm playing some protest music in the car. We talked about it last week, Signs of the Times with Rage Against the Machine, and I spun like all 3 of their albums. It's like crazy. And speaking of the clairvoyance, had to pee really bad, so I'm driving around all day and crushing our drinks and with people and so forth.
The non-alcoholic ones, right?
Non-alcoholic, yeah, maybe cannabis infused, but
you're good.
So I got to a point where I was like, all right, I gotta pee bad, and I just put in my phone like Starbucks, something where I can run in, run out really quick. And it was actually closer to go to this natural food store. For privacy reasons, I maybe won't drop the name of the grocery store, but I ran in there, felt like I had to buy something to pee out of respect, and jumped in line. And the guy right in front of me, we're both standing there ready to just bounce out of there, and I looked at his tattoo on his arm.
Nerdery.
Because yeah, it's nerd. It is nerdery because it's a different kind of nerdery because I'm getting some ink done relatively soon.
Well, and you guys are both masked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of sitting there. There's only so much stuff you can look at. I'm looking at this guy's tattoo. I'm like, nice. I like that. I like that. Oh wait, I recognize that tattoo. Wait a second. I look up and verified just by, he actually turned back and he probably saw that I was staring at his arm or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, that's Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine that I was just playing in the car on the way here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super ironic. And I was kind of, I don't really get starstruck anymore, I guess you'd say. And that's not to sound like cocky or anything. I think it's just like getting older really, and realizing that we're all just working professionals. And so he gets in line, I get in line. The way the grocery store was set up for checkout is you're actually next to each other, parallel. So I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, I'm like, oh my God, this is nuts. So he gets his change literally at the same second that I do. So we're both walking out. I'm like, hey, Brad, huge fan, man. He's like, oh, thanks. I'm like, I actually have a podcast called Podioslave named after your second band, Audioslave. He's like, oh,
yeah.
that's rad.
Shameless plug, baby.
it was like perfect, you know what I mean? We're just rolling out, just like almost just as neighbors. And I'm like, hey man, you mind if I get a quick pic? I never do this anymore. I used to do it a lot, as Tone can attest to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was like, yeah, super gracious, took a quick photo, and I was like, all right, man, have a good one. You too. And it was just quick and sweet, but it was like, damn, man, like that's like me and Tone and Twan were talking about, it's like a modern day like John Bonham, and just running into him. That's pretty cool. And the fact that I was listening to this music on the way to the shop is just like bizarre, but not really bizarre because it happens a lot on this podcast.
And the fact that you didn't go into the Starbucks, you went into the grocery store.
Yeah, Starbucks was the first thing in the map, and this thing happened to just show up down the street. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll just run in here. It's actually an account we're trying to get into as well. Anyway, kind of a luxurious LA boutique natural food store. So yeah, it was cool. Super nice guy, and it's always cool when you meet your heroes and they're super gracious and nice, because he was as chill as could be. So
and you booked him for a couple weeks, right, on the podcast?
We don't talk about who we got booked. We got people lined up. But yeah, hopefully someone from Rage, if Brad wants to come on, man, if you're listening, we are all ears.
Well, he's gonna get tagged in it, so he'll at least maybe see it on Instagram.
That's true.
So what do you think he was more surprised on? The fact that you noticed him when he had a mask on, or two, there's a Podioslave, there's a podcast named Podioslave out there?
That's a good question. He seemed pretty surprised that I recognized him, because we're both wearing masks and I'm wearing a hat. He wasn't wearing a hat, but it's like all you can see is his eyes. So it wasn't for the tattoo, I probably wouldn't have noticed. If I wasn't like gearing up to get tattoo or ink done, I wouldn't even be kind of tuned into that at all, I don't think. So we were talking about it through a group text here. I feel like I probably am in line with other people all the time that I just don't recognize. And this was just a kind of weird, perfect timing. And I was like, oh shit, that's Brad Wilk. That's awesome.
Two things. You sent us the picture, and Twan and I are both like, wait a second, is that because he's got a mask? You guys both wear a mask. Obviously, we recognize you, and then I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, that looks like Brad Wilk. And then you were like, yeah, this is just Rage vibes. We're like, holy shit, like that's just it was amazing. Definitely
like Rage vibes. You're like, no, legit Rage vibes. That's fucking Brad Wilk.
And the second thing, you're right, Nate. You notice, like you said, you were looking to get some ink, and you're like paying attention to other people's tattoos, right? I mean, that's only natural. I know I do that a lot with my job. And I remember when I, in high school, I worked at a running shoe store, and so like forever I would watch people walk and check their shoes out. So if it's top of mind like that, it just happens to be something you see, and then to recognize the tattoo and be in a mask and just be like, holy shit, that's Brad Wilk. That's pretty badass.
So I showed that photo to my wife, and I kind of told her the backstory that you said through text, Nate. And I was like, yeah, that's Brad Wilk on the left. And she goes, who's that on the right? So it just shows you, like, it's tough to tell who's who, or who, to identify anyone unless you showed up with them. It's really tough unless you see him all the time. She didn't even recognize that was you on the right. Yeah.
If it wasn't Rage and it was like the drummer from even another band that I'm a huge fan of, I mean, Rage, I've been a fan of them since like 5th or 6th grade. So it's been a longer legacy than a lot of bands. So I'd recognize that guy and then maybe that tattoo, maybe longer, like longevity wise. But yeah, no, the mask thing is really interesting because you've never looked into people's eyes so deeply until this present time, So now it's like, holy crap, like you just see like half their face. It's like everyone's a bandit now. And so you're getting all emotion and every sensory from just eyes, no longer facial expression. At least this is kind of my first experience out in a major market, LA, working. And I was like, damn, this is weird. Oh shit, Brad Wilk.
Yeah. And they're probably pretty excited that they can be out a little bit more out in public. If you're not, obviously if it's LeBron, it's a different story, but somebody who's not just this international superstar, they can get away with a little bit more with their mask on. But you're right. Just like looking at people, you're right. You're looking at people in the face. You're reading, trying to read emotion from people. You don't get the smile. Maybe you do, but not really. Like, are they smiling or are they frowning? I can't even really tell. It's weird that piece has been, an adjustment for all of us to try to figure out, how do we read people right now?
Yeah.
And it does humanize him. Like, again, who knows? Maybe he got his groceries delivered before this. Who knows? But the fact that he's out there, to me, it humanized. In any big city, you end up seeing people. But being on the East Coast, you just don't get that. So it's like it's so cool when it happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's happened without the masks, obviously. In LA, like I'd say every third visit I see someone at least. And I just don't even think twice about it. Like downtown LA, I'll walk by a cafe. I saw Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day once. A lot of shows. I mean, shows I almost always see people in the crowd that are also in bands, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. So I gotta approach more people and say get them on the podcast, because lately I've just kind of been super casual about it. 10 years ago, 25-year-old me would have had a different, You'd
have had like 9 things in your pocket and 2 Sharpies and, hey, sign this, sign this, sign this, sign my hat, sign my tits. Like, let's go.
I have much inventory because of those hardworking days. That's a lot of work.
You have a lot of stuff, man. I've seen, a fraction of it at your camp in Maine. So.
Yeah, it was fun, but it's a lot of work.
But yeah, right time, right place. Our energy probably had something to do with it. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. You want to get into some album anniversaries?
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So what are the two? What are the 2 albums that
two that I noticed this week? Dude Ranch, a couple days. I think the 16th or maybe the 17th. It was a couple days ago. Blink-182, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Dopamine from Third Eye Blind, which we've talked about before in the past on our He's on Fire segment. Back a couple episodes back. That turned 5 this week. And Deftones White Pony turns 20 tomorrow. We talked about that too. Yep. I think it's tomorrow. No, the 20th. So Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that a little later, right?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a few this week, but those are the 2 big ones that kind of hit early in the week. Dude Ranch, obviously, it's crazy. That's 23.
Yeah.
So for me, that was my intro to Blink. That was for us. So 97, that was 7th grade, I think. 7th.
Yeah.
7th grade.
The end of 6th grade, because it was spring.
We were
going into summer, going into 7th grade. Yeah.
So it was middle school, and I can't think of like a better band to like get into at that age that would ultimately, for me, be a springboard into a lot.
So much stuff.
Totally.
Because Damn It got radio play a little bit. And
that's what MTV
broke them out.
Yeah. MTV was starting to spin some more of that music, those videos and so forth. So that song in particular had that music video for Damn It.
Well, and then their next album was obviously huge and big on like TRL, What's My Age Again, Adam's Song, and all the small things and stuff. So that was the one that got me into them, but obviously went back, being the music nerd that I am, went back and listened to older stuff, back to Cheshire Cat. So checked out Buddha, right? Checked out some of those early releases, but I did like Dude Ranch a lot. Haven't listened to it in a while. Listened to some of it this week, obviously with the, going to talk about it tonight, but hadn't listened to it in quite a while. But yeah, it's a good point. It was a good springboard to a lot of different music for probably all 3 of us. They were like that gateway drug.
Actually, I know probably all 3 of us revisited it a couple weeks ago when we had Scott Russo on from Unwritten Law, because he was on Josie. He did backing vocals, and I remember a few weeks ago I listened back to see if I could hear his harmonies, and you can if you dig into it.
Yeah, I remember I got into that album because my neighbor was huge into like punk and ska.
Kid Rock?
Not Kid Rock. Kid Rock got me into Kid Rock.
Oh, okay. For those at home, there was a guy that lived next door to Nate that looked like Kid Rock, and it was like just party guy in that house next door to Nate growing up. And we always called him Kid Rock.
Yeah, we nicknamed him. Even my dad called him Kid Rock. That's funny. No, it was the other neighbor, Theo. Huge into punk and huge into ska and stuff. So he actually went to the Warped Tour 99 that I was supposed to go with him. And I think he ended up bringing back the Blink album, even though it was out for a little while, and I got into them then. And then, when Enema came out, I was like already stoked on them for a little bit. Yep. But we were different. Music was different then. Like you were like into it, but you weren't like now we're like super nerds,
Yeah, right.
Like even if you were a nerd then, it's so casual compared to like 35-year-old nerd.
Well, you were just sowing your oats as a nerd back then. You're like, oh, I kind of like this. Now I want to know more about these guys and what else they put out. And you go back and like that. I did that with Green Day. Like Dookie was huge. I went back and found Kerplunk and 1039 and just was like, deep dive. And that was me at 10. So obviously those were sowing the seeds of getting into doing what we do now. That's why we're here right now. So
yep.
Well, 35 or 34 in my case. I'm not old like you guys.
Sorry, I'm almost 30. He's 30. Dave's 36, and I'm almost 36. So.
Yeah.
But 34-year-old me is like, so Scott Rayner, who the hell's that? That's pre-Travis Barker. What's Scott doing? What happened to him? Did they kick him out? Did he leave? Does he regret it? you know, does he still drum?
Yeah.
Like, it's nerdery now.
Wasn't Man Overboard about him?
Yes.
I think it was. Yeah.
He had trouble with booze, I think, and ended up obviously leaving the band. And there's a really good. We've talked about this podcast before. The Sound and the Story. They did a really awesome job. It's a one-man show about the self-titled album and all the stuff that went on around that, but led up to it, explaining how the band formed and how they became, Blink. I'd recommend, if you're a fan, go back and check that one out because it's a pretty cool podcast.
Absolutely. It's like a behind the music on Blink.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dude Ranch, it was much more raw than Enema. Not as poppy, more straight up punk. Like, you could tell it came from that SoCal scene, but it holds up. I mean, they're a completely different band from that album to self-titled, but it still holds up.
Yeah.
Well, they had that the song "A New Hope," which is about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right. Princess Leia, where are you tonight? Like that. But that was a good song. It was a well-written song, and could have been, if you didn't know Star Wars, you'd be like, oh, this is kind of a love song, but it was about Star Wars, so they had their sense of humor too.
And it's all of its context. Like, that's 23 years ago. Hoppus is probably 46, so he's probably early 20s. It makes sense.
I remember seeing them in the American Pie movie, the first one.
Were they in it? I forget.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Totally.
And it's the most interesting part of this whole thing. Well, only because I live here, but it was actually recorded at Big Fish Studios in Encinitas, California,
which is probably not far from where you live, right?
Yeah. In fact, with the other anniversary, Third Eye Blind, that video I posted on the Instagram about recording in Encinitas, I'm pretty sure it's the same studio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That album, we've talked about that album, right? That we talked about a couple episodes back. That album kicks ass. So go check Dopamine out.
What about the line in Josie where my girlfriend brings me Mexican food from Sombrero just because? The rumor is Sombrero is not that good.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
I've only gotten it once, and it was in Poway, where they're from, ironically. I'm trying to think why. Oh, I think my wife was interviewing for a job in Poway.
Because you're a nerd.
No, well, yeah, that's why I went to Sombrero, but it didn't. Yeah. That fact that happened to be the one in Poway, because it's like a local kind of franchise chain. Yeah, it wasn't that good. It was like fast food Mexican food, and there's so much good Mexican food here. It's like not worth it to go to that. But I'm not trying to shit on Sombrero. No. It's all amazing compared to what I've ever found on the East Coast. Because growing up, it was like always one of my favorite kinds of food, and all there was Taco Bell. That's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you'd need margaritas. To there's probably places in New York that do it okay, but they're other than that, it's probably pretty sparse out here, and then down south in like Miami and stuff like that. But yeah I know Houston, I had pretty good Mexican in Houston, but those are the places you're gonna find it where there's a population that knows how to cook it.
So good, so bad for you.
Oh yeah, cheese, man, cheese and corn, and
Isn't there Blink like photos and sign stuff on the walls?
Not at the Sombrero that I went to, but where I'm at in Encinitas, there's a place in Cardiff called Pipes. It's like a OG like restaurant that's only open for a few hours every day, and they have like a record plaque on the wall, like a platinum record from Enema, and that's signed.
Nice.
And stuff that's like cool. That. Yeah, like that's local spots where obviously these bands just came up.
They got to screw that to the wall before someone takes it.
I would try. Yeah.
Looking at you, Nate.
I'd take that home.
Yeah, those are little shrines. Like that one also has like a Tony Hawk plaque on there, and any other like local heroes here. Sean White from Carlsbad up north.
Yep.
All this North County people are just kind of roaming around. So yeah, lots of claims to fame here. It's cool.
Yeah, I can see why you went out there. I mean, A, the weather, and B, it's it seems like there's a lot of fun stuff around, just people creating and having a good time. So
yeah, it's been real. No Brad Wilk in Encinitas, but it's cool.
But you found him in LA, so
yeah, exactly.
So the other band, 5-year anniversary, is from right up 100 miles from you, maybe San Francisco, right? Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, I think they're from Berkeley, right? Or he went to Berkeley.
But that area,
yeah, that area.
Yeah, Bay Area. Yeah, that album's amazing, man.
Yeah, I love Exiles. That song is just killer to me. That one, Rites of Passage, is a great Third Eye Blind song. We obviously talked about it a couple episodes back, but I would definitely urge people, and now that we've talked about it again, it'll probably more songs will find their way in the playlist. So peep those this week.
We should throw Something in You.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
So good. That came up today on Spotify curates a daily playlist.
So they're just copping our steeds, man.
No kidding. I assume it's just based on what I've listened to recently, obviously.
Yeah.
And Something in You came on, and I played it like 3 times in a row.
Oh yeah, hell yeah,
Nice.
dude. Hell yeah.
But that one holds up.
Oh, totally. And that one's gonna hold up in 10 years and 15 years. I mean, they don't make bad music, man. I haven't found a lot of, CDs or even songs that I'm like, oh no, man, I'm out. And actually, speaking of that, I yesterday I went back to if you saw our Instagram post, I went back to our record store, our local record store here in Maine, chain Bull Moose, and bought a couple records and got a Third Eye Blind record used for $10 that I didn't own. Thanks for everything. So that was kind of cool.
What's
But
on
yeah,
that?
it's still that's the In the Fade cover,
Okay.
the Queens of the Stone Age cover, which is pretty. It's probably the coolest song on there. It's kind of an EP. It's not super long. It was translucent with black and white spatter on it. It was in blue, I think. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the one with the skull on the cover. Check our Instagram. There's a picture on there. And I grabbed the Menzingers After the Party, which I love. That's a red one, red translucent album. I was pretty excited about that. And Wonder Years did a second acoustic EP of some of their older songs that I like from, The Greatest Generation and stuff like that. So that was a white. So they were all variants, which was kind of cool. I didn't know when I was buying them that they were variants, but they were all, in the used bin. I'm like, yep, I'm in. $30 for 3 records that I want. I'm in.
Oh, dude, that's a great deal. Nice.
Because nowadays, if it's like a gatefold, you're spending that for one brand new.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
If it's a newer release.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. But I mean, everybody was wearing masks. The place was, people were staying away from each other. It felt like, other than wearing a mask, it felt like walking around my local record store. So that first time in almost about 3 months, definitely scratched that itch finally. I'm like, oh man, I just need something. And I went. I was like, I'm just going. I had time off in the afternoon. I just went.
That's cool. We both kind of had like our first real back experience to like reality. Like, okay, it's not as bad as we were all drumming it up to be, or maybe the media was making us paranoid. Like, oh, record stores are going to be a thing of the past. Well, not really. Maybe over time, unfortunately, but not immediately. So that's cool. You got back in there. When I was up in LA yesterday, so I went again yesterday. I drove by Amoeba, and it was just really weird to see it just like empty. Yeah.
And they're empty, right? They've started pulling everything out of there, and
yeah, they cleaned out shop like, I don't know, 4 weeks or so before all the riots and stuff happened. Yep. So that's great timing on their end. So I think they're strictly e-commerce right now until they move into the new spot. So
I did see on one of their socials that they uploaded their used inventory on the website.
Oh, sweet.
Which is cool. Because I think they do free shipping over a certain dollar amount.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't know.
That's a good call. I'm gonna have to check that out.
If I can't get to, because I haven't gone to the local place yet. I'll probably get there in the next couple weeks, but maybe even tonight I'll check out Amoeba's used bin.
I might do that when I'm at work tonight. So
oh shit,
this is not good. I think I've spent $100 on records this week. I should probably cool out. Oh shit.
Hey, we got to support our buddy Mark.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got a sweatshirt. I wear the sweatshirt. I mean, it's too hot today, but I've been wearing the sweatshirt all spring. So we love Mark. We love Amoeba. So
there's another one.
Yeah, you want to transition? Right? Go for it.
Yeah, another anniversary. Papa Roach, 20 years. I think we had mentioned that too in the past, but yeah, they're charging for live streams for their live stream concert. That's kind of crazy because didn't we predict that maybe?
Yeah, like 14 weeks ago. We should get a cut.
I didn't see the specifics of it, but did they?
I'm pulling it up. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, did they like just rent a venue and just play, or is it in a studio, or is it in a practice space? Like, what's the dynamic of? Because if it's in like an empty venue, they're still incurring cost to them, like if they have to get a crew together and a light show and all that. But if it's in like a jam space, I mean, that's gravy, because I don't know what it costs to watch it. Yeah. Do we know?
$15 access to the stream, $14.99. Then there's merch bundles too, so you get t-shirts and
wow, that adds up quick. If you're them, you get 1,000 people.
Yeah,
right. I mean, and it looks like indoor in studio door hanger. You get all kinds of stuff. They get t-shirts. They got they're donating some money to Doctors Without Borders and the NAACP and the World Federal.
That's cool.
Federation of Mental Health. So yeah, there's some money going to good places too, which is a good thing.
You know what I was thinking when I saw this? is, and it's basically the blueprint of what we've been talking about, is I think that they probably had a tour booked for a 20th anniversary for Infest that they just didn't get the chance to announce yet.
Yep.
And then everything went down with COVID and they had to pull the plug, but they didn't have to make a press release, but they probably had like all the dates booked and all this stuff. And actually reminded me that Papa Roach, I think they played the Troubadour, like a 3-night run in LA in like December or something. So I have a feeling it was going to be, that was like a warm up for this tour maybe, because I remember seeing it being like, oh, I should go to that. So I feel like this was a hard pivot, and they were like, oh crap, like we already printed the merch. So this will be a good way to offload the merch with a live stream and still make up some revenue for charging for the live stream. But we had talked about it like, yeah, we're big fans, but I mean, it's going to be something that you see on YouTube or pirated somewhere. So unless it's ultra special, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like renting the venue is a different thing, but
I don't see much about where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's 15. If you're just wanting to go to the live stream, it says $15 with, I'm sure there's a service charge attached. That'd be like $18 or something like that is my guess. But I mean, two things, if you're able to get the live stream in the moment and you want to watch it live, cool. It's 2 p.m. Sacramento on Saturday. But if you can't, you pay for it and maybe you can access it later or access it whenever you want to. I'm a little more apt to buy something like that because now you've got, say, a digital copy of a DVD essentially, right? Of the music DVD. So that'd be kind of cool. $17 for something like that. And some of the money's going to good spaces. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't hate the move because, well, especially in their case, because it's 20-year anniversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got to capture the moment. So what are they going to do? Do a 21-year anniversary tour next year? They might, but just a little weird. Like, so take Glassjaw. Everything You Ever Want to Know About Silence came out 20 years ago. They had 20-year shows booked for this year that got postponed to next year, which I have a ticket to, the Boston show. But nice. They just pushed it back a year. So does 21 years, take away from the moment? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because we don't know where the venues are going to be standing at that point. So that ticket, where's that ticket for that you have?
I think it was Royale in Boston.
Royale. So they're assuming that the parameters will just stay intact. There won't be any social distancing, because then that capacity would have to be cut in half, essentially.
At least.
Yeah. So maybe it's a placeholder for just roll with the tide. I don't know.
I mean, if it's an album you love, I'm not sure the year matters so much. It is obviously, it's kind of sad and a bummer music fan wise that all these great albums that came out in 2000 we're going to have this 20-year moment this year, and they can't because of COVID and because of all the live stuff they can't do. So bands are trying to get creative. I salute anybody trying to do that, still bring stuff to their fans, and maybe even raise some money for a good cause in the process. That makes some sense to me, especially if you can afford it.
So what I think we need to do, we'll post it on the socials, is make a running list of everything that we've called.
Yeah, right.
So if anyone that's listening wants to take that on, if you want to
Chip, help us out, bro.
Yeah.
If you want to dig through almost 25 hours of content and think back to things we planned and cross-reference it against current events, go for it.
Yeah, we're worth betting on, because everything's clairvoyant. It's like, go listen to Rage, you see Rage, the guys from Rage,
Totally. Yeah.
Predicting stuff left and right. Well, if there's going to be some special way to spin a 20th anniversary, at least Deftones is doing it with White Pony, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Black Stallion instead of White Pony. It's going to be remixes of all the tracks off of White Pony. It's pretty rad.
Did you guys read that oral history I sent you?
I saw the screenshot.
Okay. Well, that part was cool.
Same. Mm-hmm.
So there was a part. There's a part in there that before they had even written, word one of White Pony, they told DJ Shadow they wanted him to remix it, and he was like, "Okay, what do you want me to remix?" And they're like, "Our album White Pony." And they're like, "Okay." He's like, "Okay, let me hear it." And they're like, "We haven't put it out yet. We haven't even made it yet, but we want you to remix it." And now he's actually going to be part of the remix for Black Stallion now 20 years later. So it all came full circle. But yeah, they were that confident in what they had, the vision they had for the album back then. They're like, we can do this, but it just took 20 years to get there. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, that album that's an example which echoes what I'm going to say is like, that album is like the blueprint for execution. Like the visuals, like White Pony, they could have done anything with that cover in the optics of that album. and it's just so stripped down, and it's iconic. You show that outline of that pony to any music fan, and they know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And that, what you just said, Tony, feeds into that, where it's like they were like, we want you, Shadow. And
they hadn't even written a song yet.
Yeah.
They had ideas, but they hadn't put any, pen to paper or, bass line to tape or any of that stuff.
Wow. That's cool. That's like proof that you put it out there and you can make it happen. You just sometimes you gotta wait 20 years.
And they did capture the moment. Like, you sent some details of that oral history and the details behind Passenger.
Yeah,
with Maynard.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen it, basically how that song went down is Chino and Maynard kind of went back and forth with a notepad, right, with lyrics. One of them wrote a line, the other one came back with a line. It's just like, that's the stuff I would love to get a glimpse into with some of the classic albums that we love, how stuff like that went down.
Well, and they just, like, Maynard was writing for Mare de Noms, the Perfect Circle's debut record at the time. And they were just like, it wasn't like they were like geeking out and needed to have, Maynard from Tool and all this other stuff to come on and be part of the album. He just was in the middle of doing stuff too. And they knew mutual people. And Chino was like, hey, you want to come on the song with me? And they, Chino wrote a line, Maynard wrote a line. Chino wrote a line, Maynard wrote a line. Like, just cool. And it was those two in the studio with the producer, and that was it for Passenger. So that was really cool.
That's crazy. The timing's interesting because Tool was kind of off the map for a long time, right? Because they had put out Enema in 96.
Yep.
And Perfect Circle was a new band. So Maynard, is the powerhouse of a vocalist and songwriter that he is, was kind of off the map. So that might have been like the only time to get Maynard to collaborate. Like, it clearly was a vicinity thing, like that he was around in the same spot or whatever. But if he was like Maynard today and someone like Deftones, which, they're different size bands realistically. Yeah. They're both legendary at this point, but you're talking 99. So they're both younger. Deftones is coming off Around the Fur. Maynard's like, Tool is essentially on a hiatus. And then
Tool's always on a hiatus.
Yeah, that's true. And A Perfect Circle's a new band, but it's cool to think the 90s or late 90s going into 2000s, because a perfect Circle today, you just think like, damn, that's a super group, or that's a huge like that band's gonna make it no matter what. But at the time, like, they were starting off like all bands, like Foo Fighters played the State Theater, because you got to start somewhere. You don't just jump into an arena. So I talk about time and place once again, but that might have been just like lucky.
It's just more the reason why we love that era, right? There's just so much stuff that was iconic and just reading that oral history, it was on The Ringer, theringer.com, Bill Simmons' website there, which Big Daddy Spotify owns now. So go check that out. It was a cool oral history. I read it last night, and in prep for talking about that tonight, it was an interesting, how that album came about was very cool.
Wow. Did they talk about Scott Weiland at all? Or?
Not really.
Okay. Because he's not credited on the album, but he was on RX Queen. So I wonder what went down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll be listening to that later.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how, when Papa Roach, they put that $15 paywall behind that show, my immediate, just knowing that band, and this is not coming from any founded knowledge, but I think it's a money grab. But then we dig into it, and it's like, no, it's going to charity. It's going to this. So it's a good thing. But with Deftones, I don't think it's a money grab at all. Like, they're true creatives, and I know they want to make this special. So the finished product's gonna be amazing, and I hope it comes out on vinyl, because it's gonna be
oh hell yeah,
gatefold, and it's gonna be just a geeky package, and it'll probably be a black cover for Black Stallion. The pony's all grown up. It's gonna
white. Yeah, he's a stallion now, Black Stallion. And you're right. It's not. I don't think this is a money grab, because in that oral history, they're talking about having this idea 20 years ago. So it's not like they were, you had the foresight to say, we're going to celebrate this album in 20 years. We haven't even written it yet. And this is the idea we have for it. So I definitely think this was a creative endeavor that's just taken time to happen.
That's true. And cash grab wise, if Deftones wanted to do a cash grab, they could do so many different cash grabs right now.
Yeah, it's true.
There's so much on the table for that band.
What I was just thinking about is just like I said, the optics and the branding of the band at that point in time with the White Pony logo. Just thinking about how much merch, incremental merch, on top of what they would have sold as a result of that logo. I know for me, I have a 20-year-old red Deftones shirt with has the pony and it has the star. I have a flag with the same thing. Like, and
Nice.
that's just one person who at that point was, I mean, I was more than a casual. I was a big fan, but like not like I am now. Like they're top 5 band for me. And I was all over that. I loved the visual.
Yeah, that simplicity just made it easy to digest. And you're like, oh, this band's awesome. And it's already like pretty complicated music. So to have like a simple logo to kind of reference to that band, I agree. It made it really easy. And if it's any testament, kind of circling back to that whole tattoo thing, if you ever look up like White Pony, like tattoo, there's like billions out there. So clearly it made a mark. Yeah, on the whole like Deftones or music community, like that's like a pretty notorious, like almost like too common tattoo for a Deftones fan at this point. You know, I wouldn't get it, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a staple logo, and it's, you know, it's a picture of a pony. It doesn't seem like something you would kind of connect to like essentially a metal band. But
yeah, it doesn't necessarily fit the aesthetic or the sound of the music. The aesthetic doesn't necessarily fit it, but that's the reason that, I mean, it's iconic. That's the reason it works, right? It's been this piece of what they are for so long because of how big that album was and how great that album was. So
yeah, I mean, if at 15, if you said, "Hey, do you have any interest in a T-shirt with a pony on it?" I'd be like, "Well, no." And then you see it, and I'm like, "Yes,
like, actually, fuck yes,
yes." I want a flag too, and I want the vinyl.
Let me crank Digital Bath real quick, and let's go.
I got the windbreaker.
Oh yeah, Deftones jacket.
Yeah, it was a
What show were we at when that happened? Atmosphere, maybe in Boston. I think there was Atmosphere in Boston.
I was a stagehand.
Or was
for
Queens?
A while.
Would have been Queens.
I was a stagehand for a while, setting up shows and stuff like that, and that was a nickname at one of the shows for the Shadows Fall show. Actually, hey Deftones jacket, because they didn't know my name. I'm like, all right, what's up?
Those pictures are awesome, by the way. From that Shadows Fall show. You like try to fix the ceiling and shit.
Yeah. That's a good story.
Yeah. We can talk about that another time. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Deftones, they announced that, but then they also announced, I would say, more exciting news, which is a new album coming this fall, which my first reaction was like, shit, I got to wait till fall. And then I look at the calendar. It's like 3 months away.
It's almost July. Yeah,
it's almost,
September, I think, is the date, or there's no date, but that's the month they're hoping to drop it, right?
Yep.
I think it was.
That's what I saw.
Yeah. It's cool because, sorry.
We're all excited.
Yeah, I know. We're all excited. So I think, it's with Terry too, Terry Date from White Pony and Around the Fur fame, right? So this is, they're going back to a producer they haven't used in a while, but somebody they're obviously very familiar with from those days. So that should be exciting.
Which ones did he not do? Like everything after that, or?
He did, I thought I read the first 4. So Adrenaline, Around the Fur, White Pony, self-titled. And then he didn't do Saturday Night Wrist or what came after Saturday Night Wrist? Why am I drawing a blank?
Diamond Eyes?
Diamond Eyes, yeah, or Koi, which came after that, or Gore, which was the last album 4 years ago. So, but now he's back. So that should mean that somebody they're familiar with, somebody who obviously understands the band, even though it's been 17 years since they worked together on an album. It's not like they're bringing in somebody completely different.
And that's the thing. Those albums have enough variation where you can't really conclude what Deftones you're going to get with this release.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Terry Date, you're right. First 3. Good tone. Nice.
First 3, or he didn't do Adrenaline?
He did. So Adrenaline.
First 4. Through self-titled, right?
Yeah, first 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did my homework, bro.
Yeah.
No, I just knew that off the top of my head.
That's a wait up till midnight release if there ever was
For
one.
sure.
Like and Nate, do you get on the West Coast, do you get it at 9 p.m. or do you have to wait till 12 local time?
I haven't bought a record when it came out in a while.
No, streaming.
What do you mean? Oh, streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out at the same time.
So 9 p.m. for you?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
You're living in the future, bro.
I feel like I remember that with Gigaton. I feel like when Pearl Jam came out, you were like, yeah, it's 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's midnight here, and I can only listen to like 4 songs, and I got to go to bed.
And Nate's listening to it for the 4th time.
Yeah.
Hey, imagine if you're in like Australia, New Zealand.
I know. Yeah. They're really in the future. It's tomorrow there.
Yeah, you have to wait till the next day.
We have friends in Australia. Thank you for listening, guys. You all came over with Scott Russo, and hopefully you've stuck around.
And Greg.
Yeah, true. Zebrahead, yep.
Yeah, Australia. Little props to Australia. Nice. Yeah, well, I'm excited for that. And the tour that they had this summer was booked. So clearly that was to promote this new album in September, because it was like a June to like August kind of tour that was spread out a little bit. So I was going to go to the show in LA at the Greek Theater, famous for the movie Get Him to the Greek.
Great yeah, with Russell
awesome
Brand.
venue. Yeah, it's outside. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that must have been promoting that. So that kind of makes me think back to that Papa Roach thing, is they probably had something. I feel like everyone had something booked for 2020, and
there was so much stuff. Yeah, there's so much stuff.
Didn't even have a chance to announce it or anything. So
Yep. You guys want to jump into the segment?
Yes.
Depends on what it is.
Do the segment.
Depends on what the segment. What is the segment?
The segment. Oh, okay. So the segment. This was one that Anthony and I a few months back, before we cracked the microphones open, wrote down a bunch of stuff, a bunch of things to kind of go over and use as topics. And this was one that I've been kind of excited about, but we've been saving. It's summertime. You want to roll the windows down. You want to be listening to happy music. You want to be getting excited. This is, albums that are mood lifters, that are, make you feel good. Those ones you hear that opening, guitar solo, guitar riff, and you just crank the jukebox, crank the CD up, crank everything up, right? That's what these are. So this is what did you call it, Twan? It's like
mood lifters.
Mood lifters or
posy vibes.
Posy vibes only, baby. Yeah, yeah, posy vibes. So that's what we got. I think we each have 3.
Yep.
We'll see if we can get through all 3. Depends on time. We're not going to talk for 9 hours about a couple of things, but we will definitely try to get through 3 piece here. Go through key tracks, stuff like that. Our stories behind them and why they work for us. So that being said, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. And again, we didn't tell each other, right? We don't know. Nope. We're guessing. So we could have overlap, but again, we make it work.
The reason I wanted to go first is when we said the new Deftones album is an album that I want to wait up for at midnight. Well, this first band, has an album coming out tonight.
No shit.
New record. And so we're recording this on Thursday, so obviously it drops at midnight.
It drops in 15 minutes for Nate or something. I don't even... Sorry, go ahead.
So the band, do you guys have any ideas?
No, man.
Nate?
Trying to think.
Give me a hint.
Yeah, hint.
All right. So this band, they've been around for 23 years at this point. To me, this was the first band that when we thought of this segment, this is the first band that came up because the sound-wise, they fit exactly what we're talking about. But growing up, it seemed like they always put an album out every other year, right around summertime.
Newfound Glory.
Newfound Glory is right.
Oh, nice.
So
I remember we talked about them pushing the album back. So
that's right.
That's why.
Yeah. Which actually, I'm going to do a callback. I'm going to backpedal. Remember, we were in an earlier episode. We were saying, "Hey, if I was a band, would I push an album back because of COVID?" I said back then in an early episode that I was like, "No, I just put it out." I'm backpedaling on that and saying I would wait so I could tour off it, or at least closer to tour. Because what I thought about was, if your audience is going to be smaller. So like say us, if we had a kick-ass interview we were excited about, but we knew right off the bat only half the normal listeners would be able to check it out. We might consider it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But
and the other thing is a lot of them, especially now with no tour, where they may have sold merch and the record, maybe those supply chains and the infrastructure to get those albums to the fans was not the level that maybe it's been figured out to now, right?
Yeah.
There's still trouble with shipping, but it's not as bad today as it was back in March and April. So that makes sense to me too. You're right. I think the backpedal on that. The rare time we may have been a little off.
Hey, but you know what? We're honest enough and that we can admit it.
Yeah.
I got to say something really quick because I was thinking also, Twan, I think I would backpedal too because that first, like when everything went into lockdown, it was like super sketchy. Like it's almost like you don't want to have your new music have that negative connotation, So like,
true.
This came out and it's got bad memories associated with it. So you almost want to like maybe shelve it mentally. So if you wait now, you're things are opening back up. It's summer now. Here's some new music. Think positive times instead of lockdown. Everything's getting shut down. The economy's getting shut down. People are dying. Here's our Newfound Glory album. It's just like, I kind of think maybe even
fit.
Yeah. So now I actually agree with the backpedal 100%.
Yep.
So you just nailed it. Cause like when I think of, this album, the album I'm talking about is Sticks and Stones, came out in 2002. When I think about this album, I think about summer because it dropped June 11th, 2002. So I associate it with getting out of school. You got to figure June is like the end of school or just getting out. But I remember going to get it the day it came out, which I think back then was Tuesdays.
Yep.
I'd have to fact check that if June 11th was a Tuesday. But this song, like you said, Tony, those albums that right when the first track hits, it's just instant good mood. So with this album, Understatement is the first track, and it starts with the guitars and drums, and it just sets the tone. But even the later in the album, it has a song called "It's Been a Summer." Like it just has summer vibes, and to me, Newfound Glory is a top 10 band. If I think about every factor that goes into my top bands, which is longevity, relevancy, solid albums, and although I haven't been as much into them in my, as I've grown up, I still do listen to them pretty regularly. Like some of the last couple albums, I think it was like Makes Me Sick, or there was another album, I can't remember what it was, had a black cover, didn't hold up for me, but this album, instant good mood. So what are you guys' memories about this album? You guys know this album, right?
Yes. Can I go first, Nate?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the summer of tits, Twan.
Yeah.
So that was the summer where Twan, myself, our friend Ian, and our friend Setla hung out all. Setla, yeah, there he is. He's over there. He's fact checking right now. That was the summer we hung out all together every day, and we dubbed ourselves Tits because of the acronym. So that we listened to that album. All of it didn't matter whose car we were in. We all had it, right? Yeah. Like it was somebody, or we grabbed the CD out of one car and bring it to the next. So we were constantly listening to them. And you're right, that whole album is just awesome. Just from the jump. I always, some of the slower tracks I like too, like Sunny and the last song on the album, the story so far. Yeah. So those are really cool songs too for them. But yeah, it was, I remember My Friends Over You being huge on the radio. Yeah, lots of fun summer vibes. Windows down on the Blue Hornet, which was my 1994 Nissan Sentra. Nice. 5-speed. Yeah. That thing turned on a dime. I fucking love that car. I
forgot about that car. Maroon, it was maroon, right?
No, she was blue. Blue Hornet.
Blue. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that car. But yeah, that was, I got a CD player put in probably that summer, and that was a CD that was constantly on rotation in my car. So, Nate, you?
Yeah, it's just crazy. 02. So that was like the heyday for pop punk.
Yeah.
And this album is a front to back, and it's like so well produced. And it was cool to see a punk band that came like super genuine out of the East Coast and not the West Coast. So they're from Florida, right?
Yeah.
So,
but they do live on the West Coast now.
But they're Jacksonville though, right?
Yeah. Coral Springs, wherever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan's brother actually owns a restaurant up in Oceanside, like 30 minutes north of me.
Oh, right.
Called the Little Tap House. It's really good. Little side tangent note. Yeah.
Oh yeah, tangents. We don't do those.
He looks like Jordan. Like, they look like brothers, but the chef up there is a little bit bigger. But yeah, man, I remember this album too. What was the show that came to Portland? Was it them and
Good Charlotte Civic Tour a year later, maybe?
Yeah.
Lester Jake and Hot Rod Circuit Honda Civic Tour 03.
Nice.
You know what's funny is the June 11th 02 might have been, it was either that night or the night before, Incubus came on the Civic Tour to the Civic Center in Portland, which then that Civic Tour came through Portland a lot, and that was what Newfound Glory was on a couple of years later with Good Charlotte.
But you're right, Nate. Yeah. That shows you how big they were. Like, because I think one year I'd have to fact check it, but I think like Maroon 5 was on the Civic Tour. Like it's always huge names.
There've been some big names on that tour, yeah. MCR,
Yeah, it's like a cash grab tour. Like sell some cars.
The Honda Civic Tour. Okay.
Very specific.
What does this have to do with the Honda Civic? I'm 17.
You could like win the car, and it was like autographed, but the autographs were like obviously painted on there. So I'm like, I don't think anyone's really driving.
No one's driving this. Yeah.
The Incubus one, though, a little side note. The Incubus one, I remember going on eBay and seeing that someone won that Honda Civic and then sold it on eBay.
That's what I mean. No one. Nice. That's what I mean. No one wanted it.
Did they spell it wrong? That's a callback, guys. Go back and check out an older episode. eBay hacks with the Podioslave crew.
Yeah, this album. I guess just to close, this album, it showed like a lot of Chad's roots. So Chad came from Shai Hulud, the kind of metalcore band. He was a vocalist, and on like the track Singled Out, he has that kind of screaming, and then
Oh yeah.
I forget what track, but there's a track where he goes, "Let's go," and I mean, you can kind of hear this a little more aggressive.
Something I call personality.
Something that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
Which is super high energy. So like it's the self-titled album, which was before that, which was 2000, was high energy, but it was more straight up pop punk. This one had some aggression to it, which to me feeds into like good mood. Like, yeah, I can get into this. And 18 years later, I still listen to it.
That's awesome. Everything about it, even the artwork's awesome too.
Yep. Yeah, they're like the kids wrestling on the sticks and stones, man. Cool. All right, who's going next? Nate, you or me?
You want to go, Tim?
Yeah, I can go. I got one locked and loaded. So this is one that I initially popped right into my head. Nice. This band's been together, would be celebrating their 30th anniversary this year. They've been a band longer than that, but these the core guys have been together for 30 years. Does that give you any hint?
Unwritten Law.
Nope. They one more hint. They their name
Green Day.
Their name pertains to the only former member and how he got in trouble.
311.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Nice. Sound system.
311.
Sound System.
No, close. No, the great album and obviously would fit this, but not
music.
Yes, it's music. Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. So whenever I'm in a bad mood, or even like start to feel one coming on, if I toss 311's Music, which came out February 9th, 1993 on Capricorn Records, I immediately feel better. It just like by the middle of the first song, I'm like, all right, am I really that mad? Like, how can I be mad listening to this? It's just fun. There's some upbeat, there's some chill vibes. The whole thing fits. So for me, key tracks on that are Do You Right, which is the only single. Feel So Good.
Feel So Good, yes.
Yeah, Freak Out's a great song. Unity's just a banger of a song. It's a little heavier for them.
Yep.
Nick's Hex is cool. My Stony Baby. The list goes on. There's not a bad song on this record. I listened to it today, and funny, it went gold in 1999. It took 6 years to get to gold. I think it's the only one on my list that went gold. But yeah, that one. I just immediately I'm in a good mood, and it's a total summer vibes. Roll the windows down, crank the tunes. Great kind of noodling from Tim Mahoney, who had joined the band in 1990, and Peanut obviously beat that thing, right? The bassist, he just kills it, especially towards the end of the record when they tell him to. They just unleash him on some tracks. So it's a fun record to listen to. Did you guys know that they have My Stony Baby was on a movie soundtrack? Can you guess the movie soundtrack it was on?
51st Dates.
Think of a stoner comedy.
Half Baked.
Close. Harold and Kumar, the second Harold and Kumar.
Oh, wow.
Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Because we needed two of those, right? Man. But yeah, this album they put together, they had 5 new songs. The rest of them were ones they kind of reworked from indie releases that they'd put out before. So pretty cool. Same lineup for 30 years. They were gonna do some touring and be out for their 30th anniversary as a band this year, but with COVID, that's not going to happen. They were one of the last concerts to happen, right? Back on 3/11 day and that weekend, we were like, what are we doing here, guys, in Vegas? But so I'm driving up to my dad's today to get a haircut, and I'm thinking to myself, listen to the album, and I remember, you know what? I remember doing, Twan, do you remember Spanish class? We had to like pick a thing and talk about it in Spanish for like 5 minutes. And only in Spanish. Senior year.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So I picked 311.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm going to talk about 311 in Spanish for 5 minutes.
Tres Once?
Yeah, exactly. Tres Once. So I like printed out a couple of pictures, whatever. I got my notes together. I'm just about ready to go up and present. And I realized the only picture I have of Nick Hexum, there's a gigantic bong in it. And I'm getting ready to present this to class. And I'm like, oh shit. So I grabbed a marker and just blacked the bong out and went up there and held my picture up. And I think I was the only one that knew, but I was like, holy shit, there's a bong in this picture.
Although knowing our teacher, he would have been into it.
Oh yeah. He definitely would have been into it. Yeah. P Dubs. Yeah, he would have been into it. Yeah, Buddy Lee. Oh man, but yes, that was the story that hit me today as I was driving. I'm like, that. Oh yeah, that was funny.
Wow.
And I did okay in the presentation, and spoke my Spanish and got out. What do you guys have?
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. That album, I agree, is a lift mooder, a uprising on emotion for sure. It puts me in a good mood for sure. Do you have that on wax?
I do.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yep.
Wait, didn't they have an album Uplifter later in the game?
Yeah, they did. I think that's what I was thinking.
I mean, you can't, like you said, sound system. You can't get in a bad mood. I mean, the reason that I'm into them is because the sound system's one. I burned that off of you and listened to it a ton junior year of high school. So.
Yeah, man, I love that album. I got into those 311 albums early too because I had a friend's brother, the same brother that got me into Rage, got me into those 311 albums, and I'm like, nice, this music's badass.
Ian?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you spun those records all the time, and I was always like fascinated that they were from Omaha. It's like, wow.
I know, yeah. Ian is Mike, one of our listeners, one of our hardcore fans in Texas. That's his older brother. So shout out to Mike and Ian.
Yeah.
So two things come to mind. Well, many things do, but a couple notable things. The intro track is called Welcome. So it's just like it sets the tone, and musically it sets the tone. But also, I'm actually pulling up the wiki on this album, and it was recorded at Ocean Studios in Burbank, California. And it's like, there's a reason why bands go out to Cali to record. There's a vibe out there, and this album catches that vibe. Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. I mean, they have that kind of Southern California sunny day vibe going now too. They've made their bones on that over the years. So, but I mean, it started with this and moved into some of the other records that are very similar. They don't all sound the same. They've had big records since then too. Self-Titled comes to mind in '95 with Down and All Mixed Up. But yeah, they're. Those early records really up through From Chaos in 2003 and even into the one that came after it, Evolver. That's kind of the heyday for me. I remember seeing them. We saw them at the State Theater in that tiny with Hoobastank and that on the From Chaos tour in spring of 2002. That would have been around the same time. So pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, I remember this album kind of opened the doors to cannabis culture for me at a young age because I didn't really know what it was. And you see like the pot leaves and all the songs like feel so good. And it's literally talking about getting high. I'm just like, oh wow, what is this? What are they talking about? I'm like a young little like middle schooler.
My Stoney baby, hydroponic.
Yeah, it's like all weed related.
Lots of weed. Yeah, lots of weed references. Up to the point where you're printing off pictures of Nick Hex and he's got a bong in front of him. So
I saw them in 2003 at Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, and
nice.
They had a big, bands have big backdrops.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs was just a big pot leaf, and that was 2003. Right. I mean, it wasn't now. Everyone would, wouldn't blink at it, but back then it was like edgy. Yeah. It was like, wow, they're taking a risk with their brand. I mean, if you know them, that comes with it. But if you're
especially
a casual
now,
fan,
it doesn't matter. But yeah.
If you were a casual fan back then, you're like, ooh, wow.
Was that fall of 2003? It must have been.
I can't remember
because they came to Portland in November on that tour. So I think I'm assuming it's the same.
I think it was summer.
Oh, okay. Well, it would have probably been the beginning of that tour then.
It was with Something Corporate, which is a weird Andrew McMahon.
Yeah, that is a weird band. Yeah, that's a different tour then because when we saw him, Alien Ant Farm opened for him in Portland. Oh, yeah. So an underrated band too, Alien Ant Farm. That anthology's great.
And Hammerstein's a great venue. It's one.
Yeah, I liked it at the time. It haven't been almost 20 years, but.
Yeah, New York. We got to go to New York. We're going to go when Rage comes back. So that's
happening.
It's just got to happen. Yeah. And Brad's going to get us in. All right, Nate, what do you got, man?
Good pull. Mine, I like this guessing game thing.
Yeah, let's go. Give us a hint.
Tease it, bro.
1990s.
It is, yep. That was going to be my first hint.
Harvey
a whole decade.
Harvey Danger.
Yeah. Is it Duncan Sheik?
Similar vibes to 311.
Okay. And it's 90s.
Yep.
Self-titled Sublime.
Nope.
40 Ounces to Freedom.
Nope.
All right. Give it to us.
The Urge.
Ooh, Too Much Stereo?
I was going to pick that one, but I love that album so much.
That's a great album. Yeah.
But the thing is, Master of Styles is even better.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, I spun that again today because I was thinking about, man, I usually play either of those for a good mood album, kind of summer vibe album. And yeah, that one beat it, even though like they're both amazing. And they have a lot of records, but those two were like kind of like their heyday, like in the late 90s. I think Too Much Stereo was 2000, right?
Yeah, right around there.
That's when I saw them actually at the Asylum. But yeah, I think similar to the Blink Dude Ranch, I got my neighbor had the Urge and had this record. So I actually got into it super early, like 98, so like 8th grade. And it's like a ska band from St. Louis, out of all places. So similar to 311, like, Middle America, this gem kind of spreaded. And I guess there was a little bit of name brand recognition because they were like on, I think they were on Ozfest or something. They were definitely on like demo tapes that also had like Korn and stuff. So I think they did maybe Family Values tour. So this is like late 90s, which is like completely random because they're like a punk ska band. To see them like with Korn would be kind of weird, but then again, that's what the Family Values and stuff like that was, kind of, Ice Cube with Korn, with Limp Bizkit, with Incubus and Filter and all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, man, I love this album. You obviously got into this album too, right?
Yeah, actually, Nate, I got a question for you. So I remember a few years ago, I mailed someone my copy of Receiving the Gift of Flavor on cassette. Was it you? Did I mail that to you?
Yes.
Do you have that?
Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like a nerdery package. And I was just like, I don't know where the hell I got that. But yeah, that came out in 95. I didn't get it in 95, a few years later.
Twan, you're great for those. You were great for those nerdery packages. I've gotten a few from you too.
Yeah, it's cool. I actually found that because we're packing right now, and I found that, and it looks like a vintage like collector's item. Like, oh man, I feel like not many people have this thing.
Oh, no one has.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like Twan's Korashi poster. Nobody has that.
No one has that.
But yeah,
Tone, what are your Urge memories? Do you remember?
Too Much Stereo is the one that I get into, but I mean, I remember listening to the Urge with Nate, and just it's definitely that sunny day, roll the windows down type music. So it fits, it ticks all the boxes for this. I need to go back and, I mean, you're going to give us some good songs from Master of Styles for the playlist, Nate. So I'm pretty excited about revisiting them this week and checking some stuff out. So yeah,
we'll jump right in. Jump right in has Nick Hexum from 311.
Yeah, so it all fits. Everything fits.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, but I love this album, man. Super jazzy.
It has a Bad Brains cover. I forget what song.
Oh yeah, Gene Machine.
Which totally fits like kind of their, well, later Bad Brains when they were more of a reggae band. But
yeah,
no shit. Good call.
Yeah, some ska elements in there and stuff. But yeah, I like everything. I even like the album cover. But I remember when I saw them in 2000, they still had merch left from then. So they had this T-shirt with the guy with the bomber helmet and stuff.
Yeah,
that's right.
The album cover.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It looks like the Wes Welker helmet. It's so big.
Yeah. I totally thought they were a California band, but no.
This album came out in April 21st, 1998. It's 22 years old. That's freaking crazy.
It's insane. And just to think like seeing them at the Asylum, it made sense because they're a small ska band from St. Louis. Like, where else are they going to play but the Asylum when they did a few years of all ages? It was actually them and Mest and Goldfinger.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Especially that time, for sure.
That's a great pick.
Kind of boom.
Wow.
I was skiing a ton. Yeah. I was skiing a ton, so I got back from Sandy River and went to the Asylum. So we were talking about back in the day, how do you do so much when you're younger? Going to shows. I was like, I don't know. I skied all day as a young buck, and then went to a show at the Asylum.
That's because we could do all that stuff back then.
It's just wild to think that I was actually doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man.
To be young again, my friend.
What's that?
To be young again.
Yeah, we're all young.
Yeah, I could still do it today. I mean, I did ski and snowboard or ski and play golf on the same day last spring, so I can do it.
Nice.
So I'm going to put the vibes out there, and I think we should get Steve Ewing from The Urge on this podcast.
Yes.
He's the lead singer.
Yes. I mean, that'd be badass.
I've actually met him on a road trip. Yeah, I went on a road trip and saw him play acoustic in some small little pub. We made a point to because it was on the way in this trip I did with a friend, Bob actually, and we made a point to see this guy playing some small tavern. It's nice, we came here just to see you.
That's awesome.
They were huge Urge fans.
And he was cool.
Did he play any Urge?
Yeah, there was no one there. It was me and him and a few other people. Yeah, it's funny.
I did that with the lead singer of the Spin Doctors in Portland,
Mm.
Rob, who's coming up in a couple of weeks as a guest, radio personality here in Maine. He and I went to it, and I should probably save the story, but it was cool. It was better than you'd think.
Yeah, let's save it for
I'll save it for when Rob's on, because he was cool. I mean, the whole night was Well, I'll save that one for Rob because he'll remember it too. He remembers all that stuff. Brothers and nerds.
Yeah, so I kind of wrapped it up there, but I was a casual ska punk music fan, just a young kid getting into music, and this was a good introduction because it's got such a array of different styles of music. Maybe that's why it's called Master of Styles.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but it just brings me back to those kind of early, young, no responsibility years. And when I put it on, I get that connotation, but also just like the cool, vibrant sounds, and his voice, Steve's voice, is like he can sing. He's got some good range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, The Urge, Master of Styles. Can't wait to make the playlist or throw you some songs down.
Oh yeah, I'll text you later.
That's a good poll. I wouldn't have thought of them, but they fit it, and I'll definitely revisit their albums. Too Much Stereo, Receiving the Gift of Flavor.
There's a cool live album on streaming too that I've listened to a couple times.
Nice.
So I'm up round 2.
Yeah. Yep.
So this band, I would say for the casual listener, is a little more, I don't know, Urge is kind of obscure from a lot of people. This band was probably maybe a little bigger than the Urge. I'm trying to think of how I should tease it. I would say in the vein of Newfound Glory. They started in the late 90s. The singer was super young. They started when the singer was like 16, 17. This album that I'm talking about came out in 99. And they got their break with this album, certainly, but they got really big in like 2002 when they had a song that got local radio play.
Okay.
I'm not giving you much here.
That's okay.
It's 3 words. Blank the blank.
Okay, so last week you said 3 words, and I almost said even all out just to be a dick. Local band when we were this age. So,
but Nate got it last week with
you did. Yeah,
Our Lady
Peace,
Peace,
right? Yeah.
All right, I'll cut to the chase. Saves the Day.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Sweet.
Saves the Day. So Saves the Day. The album I'm talking about is Through Being Cool. It came out on Equal Vision Records, which was more at the time more of like a hardcore punk label, and certainly they had those elements. Not as much the hardcore, but the punk. I don't know if you guys like the band Lifetime from New Jersey from mid 90s, but I saw them a couple times when they reunited in the 2000s. But this album, they pull a lot from Lifetime, but it's just total good vibes. Like, do you guys know this album? I know you guys know Stay What You Are for sure.
Yeah, a little bit. Probably not as well versed in this one as some of the other ones we've talked about, but definitely one that I would, if it fits that mold, I'm going to be into it. So
yeah, a lot of sing-alongs. The irony though is the lyrics are super dark, and even on like Stay What You Are, the lyrics are dark. Like if you can tell he's an angsty teen because he wrote this because this album turned 20 last year, so there was a lot of like interviews with Chris Conley, the singer, and he was talking about how he wrote this in college, and he was an angsty teen, really. But music-wise, it's super upbeat and has summer vibes, and it's a sing-along. Total sing-along.
I do love when albums do that, or songs even do that, where they give you, the lyrics are completely different. There's a dichotomy between the lyrics and the sound of the music. I mean, we've mentioned it before on this podcast. Semi-Charm Life, that Third Eye Blind song, is not happy. And there's lots of songs like that. I actually wrote a couple down, and I was gonna do kind of interstitials with just songs that fit that. They sound like they're happy and upbeat, but then you listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics and you're like, holy shit, this is deep. This is heavy. Why is the music so happy?
I mean, if we did this segment with songs, Semi-Charm Life is perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Like it puts you in a great mood. Yeah. Sing along, everyone's singing along, but the lyrics don't match it. That's so funny.
Wasn't Saves the Day supposed to tour with Third Eye Blind this fall?
Yes, they were.
This year? Okay. I was going to say, no,
You're right.
I saw something.
My sister had tickets, and she offered me, she had 2 tickets. She offered me one of them, but it got canceled down in Boston.
Yeah. Yep.
But, so Saves the Day. Overall, they have a super interesting trajectory as a band, not only with sound, but just like they really did fall off, like the definition of a fall off band. But I did see them in 2016, the most recent time. They opened for the band Bane from Massachusetts. Their last show was in 2016. Well, they used to play with Saves the Day early in the career. Yeah. And it was surprising to have them open for Bane. But the reason I bring that up is, and this kind of puts me in a good mood just thinking about it, the singer Chris Conley of Saves the Day wore it was like a Mad Bomber hat with like I almost think it was like a raccoon or something. He wore it the whole set. It was just weird, but it made you laugh. It put you in a good mood.
Yeah. Those artists and their weird ways.
Stephen Jenkins did something like that a few years ago when I saw him on the Main State Pier. Yeah. He wore like some weird hat like that. So I don't know.
I couldn't go. I was so bummed I couldn't go to that show. That's cool.
But
Nate, do you have any? Yeah. Saves the Day.
I've always been a semi-casual fan, so I never got too into them. I don't know why, because I feel like that album is stacked in a pile of records that I had, or CD, jewel cases with a bunch of other albums, and it never got a full appreciation. So now I'm going to revisit it because you got me huge into Crime and Stereo now. So I feel like it's worth visiting. That's why we do this, kind of nerd out retroactively.
Yeah, and I mean, this happens pretty much weekly. There's something brought up in our conversation that I'm like, oh man, I never gave that the time of day, or didn't give it enough. I need to go back and listen to it. And then I'm finding stuff that I probably would have liked at 17 that I like now at 35. So better late than never on some of this stuff. So that's pretty cool.
The awesome. CD cover to Through Being Cool is pretty iconic, actually. A few bands have like recreated it, but it's basically the 4 band members on a couch at like, looks like a party, and they're all like looking disinterested and whatnot. But you can tell how young they are. They look so young.
This album's 20, you said?
21.
21. Wow.
And the singer was 16?
Probably 16, 17.
When he wrote it, or when he So he's probably 18 or 19 when it came out. Yeah. That's crazy. So he's not that much older than we are.
No.
40-ish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, late 30s. But yeah.
Can't imagine hitting it that big at that age.
I think there's like, it's funny you say that. There's a little bit of like child actor going on with Saves the Day, because I think Chris is like the only original member. Like it just, this is what he is. This is what he is. This is what he knows. But some banger records in there. I don't want to discount them. But this album, to get back to the theme, killer summer anthem. Like the sing-alongs, love it.
I love that stuff.
Nice. That's so cool.
All right. Ready for my second one? Yeah. All right. So my second one, Nate, you and I have seen this band together twice and almost 3 times, but your old landlord wouldn't let us in.
Oh, wow. Clutch.
Yes. Wow. Any idea which album?
Last Tyrant?
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So the other hint I was going to give was it was put out twice, once on DRT Entertainment originally in 2004, and then they re-released it with some acoustic-y stuff back in 2011. Blast Tyrant. Just a front to back, just tour de force Clutch record. Probably their best, and they've had a lot of good records. And I think really from this album to today, there aren't many bad ones. There's a couple stumbling blocks on albums where they're not necessarily front to backs for me, but this one was a front to back, and it started here for me. As far as the fandom went with Clutch, Nate got me into them with this album. So super just tight. They were together. Like all 4 of the members were just, everything played off each other so well. The solos are great. The drums are great. Neil's vocals are awesome. The songs are just weird and awesome and jammy and rocky. And it was just cool. Nobody sounds like Clutch. Clutch is Clutch. There's nobody else out there that can do what Clutch does. I mean, there are people that try, but Clutch is, for me, the gold standard as far as stoner rock stuff goes. So yeah. I mean, I got a couple things. The key tracks for me, Mob Goes Wild, which is an awesome video that Bam Margera directed. You guys remember Bam Margera from Jackass fame? And Ryan Dunn's in it. Rest in peace. He died in a car accident a few years ago. And Don Vito, remember Viva La Bam, his fat uncle. He's in it, and then Brandon DiCamillo from the Jackass crew. They're all in that video. It's a pretty cool video. I'll link to that on Twitter later on. Regulator's a great song. Subtle Hustle's a great song. Just from the beginning guitar solo with the drums at the start of Mercury and to open the album. It's about a minute and a half long, and then Neil comes in with his, this just scream and vocals. It's just this. You're in for a ride. You're like, this is gonna be awesome. So yeah, Blast Tyrant by Clutch. Just roll the windows down, baby.
Nate, you mentioned something in a recent episode where it was something to the effect of, they're a great band to enjoy with an IPA. If I think of drinking an IPA, and if I were to do like a word association IPA with a band, it would be Clutch. Oh yeah, for sure. Like that.
100%. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Super heavy on the Simcoe and Mosaic hops. Nice, tasty double IPA and Clutch, and that album is specifically because like you said, Tone, it's a front to back. So, what was it? What year? 04?
04. Yeah, that's 16.
Damn.
Back in March 23rd, 2004.
I think this is I'd have to look at my CD booklet, but I have 2 Clutch albums. This is definitely one of them on CD.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. I have it on wax because of course I do.
Oh, nice.
Boozy vinyl. It may make it to our Sunday spins this week. Who knows?
Sweet. Yeah, the artwork for that album is pretty sweet. It was weird too because it's always the album. This kind of goes back to the 311 thing. When 311 Sound System came out, I was like bummed because I really liked their actual logo, and I was like, why'd they change it up? But now I'm like, oh, it makes sense because the album's different and the artwork kind of corresponds. So same with Clutch. Like Clutch is, like you said, Tone, kind of in their own category, but that album Blast Tyrant is like kind of separated from everything else. I don't know why. It's just like a front to back.
It just kind of sits on its own, which is weird because did you ever listen to Psychic Warfare? Came out a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 years. I feel like that's kind of Blast Tyrant 2.0. It's very similar vein. Great record. I love that one too, front to back. And Earth Rocker that came up before it is similar, but a little different in spots. But yeah, I mean, Blast Tyrant feels like it's its own entity as far as the albums in their collection go. And they have some pretty awesome records in there. I mean, they've been doing it for 25, 30 years. So
yeah,
they're a cool band to dive into if you haven't.
Yeah, if you listen to those records kind of in chronological order too, you can kind of see the progression, especially if the first record's super like out there, self-titled. And then I think their first, I guess Elephant Riders was their first like
that one's label, great too. Yeah,
Columbia Records. But Pure Rock Fury is where Mike, what's that? Careful with the Mic was a big single.
Careful with that mic, and Pure Rock Fury, and yep.
I got into Clutch. That's awesome. I got you into Clutch. I didn't even know that. I got into Clutch from like the blue collar, working on the ocean front with a bunch of people unloading fish off the docks in Maine.
Yep.
Like nice. Clutch was like kind of a staple band for one of the guys that ran like the one of those things.
Fish market,
yeah, Fish Market, yeah. So he was huge into Clutch, so I got into Clutch that way, and then they were playing the Asylum where it was 21 only at that point, unfortunately.
I know, we were 20. And he was like, no, you guys can't go in. I was like, damn it. Dude, we're not going to drink. Yeah. We just want to see Clutch.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
The Asylum.
Damn.
Yeah, when they changed to 21 plus.
Yep.
But it's funny because it as much as I love it and it has connotations to fun times, it kind of always has a flashback of like those working the pier, sorting fish species at 5 a.m. on a Saturday when you're like a young high school kid and you're like, I should be friggin' having fun, but instead I'm doing this, but I'm making like $18 an hour, $15 an hour or whatever for a high school kid. It's not bad.
No, that's great. especially in 2000 or 99.
Yeah, I might be exaggerating how much, but I remember it was more than the average, 9 to 5.
It's better than the $7.25 I was making selling running shoes. So.
Yeah, exactly.
It shows you how much you associate albums with the times. Like that NFG album, I associate it with that summer. And that's all I think about with that album. And it brings me back. Like with The Urge, I'm sure it brings you back the same thing with Clutch. The first time you heard them or heard the album or you saw them live. It's pretty powerful how music can do that.
Well, we saw them twice at the State Theater. Once like 8 or 9 years ago, right after Christmas. And then once right before you left, Nate, springtime. So it was probably 7 years ago. And those were both killer shows. Like they were just in their element. They were a blast. So they're a great live band. On top of the fact that they put out some fun, loud, heavy, fun, fast records.
Mm-hmm. The lyrics are all over the place.
Yeah,
really weird music.
Yeah, Neil's an interesting character.
Yeah,
put the vibes out there, Neil, if you're listening.
Yeah, Neil, we did shut you. I think I did message you on Instagram the other day. So we'd love to have you on, man. Big fans.
Nice, sweet Tone.
All right, Nate. Last one.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go with well, actually, do you even guess or no?
Oh yeah, give us a
tease it.
Okay. This one is not 90s.
Okay. Finally.
Let's see. No, go ahead.
It's kind of like poppy.
Head
Orgy.
Automatica.
No, but it's
Head Automatica is a good one. Yeah.
Tone, I think all three of us saw this at the State Theater.
Ooh. Okay.
M83.
Can you give me a time frame?
M83.
M83.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
I guessed them last week, Tone, for your for fun.
It's a good guess.
I'm just gonna keep guessing M83 until I hit.
It didn't take long, and you got it right.
Oh man. Yeah, M83. Hurry Up, We're Dreaming. This album's phenomenal. And it got me into a whole different scene of music that I became literally obsessed with. I just tried to find any band that had any kind of sound or similar soundscapes, or just I don't know. I wasn't really aware of this kind of music until this album, and clearly, they were marketed to Main Street on radio and everything, so it kind of helped me gravitate towards it and whatnot. So I don't even know what you'd call it, like indie synth pop.
Synth pop is what comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's really one guy, so it's kind of like Nine Inch Nails, right? So you got the guy Anthony. He's from France, so he writes all the music, and then he has a band, like an all-star band too. They're all phenomenal musicians, classically trained. Clearly, you can tell by watching them play live. But yeah, this album, I don't know. I think it was a perfect time and place because it was just such a great, and it's a double album, so it's got so many songs to just kind of, I'd say, unplug to. This album's a good one to just like put on front to back and just like completely immerse yourself into. And I got super geeky on this album like 5-6 years ago. I wanted to know more about it, so I ended up reading everything about it. And they got, or the singer Anthony got all the inspiration from this album from moving to California from France. Wow. So lots of trips to Joshua Tree, which is where I was just at for camping like 4 weeks ago or so. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it now. I can see how some of these soundscapes, because if you're watching the stars in Joshua Tree at like 11 or 12 at night, like midnight, you just see some really cool stuff. You see shooting stars, and it's just pristine like clarity.
The picture I'm showing is I have it open Instagram to look for something, and it's you and your wife at Joshua Tree.
Oh, nice.
It's like you. I didn't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to grind that to a halt. Sorry.
No, it's just like, more clairvoyance randomly.
That's what we do, man.
But yeah, man, I love every song on this album, and I often would make like Instagram stories or whatever, just using a lot of the background, like weight. And I don't know if you guys watched that guy Felix that did like the highest skydive.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they used an M83 song in the background, and it was just like really showcased what an amazing moment, and the music kind of just fits that. So it's really good, like scenery music, cinematography, and anything is just kind of like over the top. So that was like an over the top thing with the guy that did the skydive basically from like the highest point in the atmosphere. But yeah, just nothing but positive connotation to this album. Every song on here is really good. But yeah, Wait's one that really stands out. Intro and outro, I just love both those. Okay Pal, there's one, Claudia Lewis, Soon My Friend. I don't know, everything on this. And then the live show, were you guys both at that show?
Yeah,
I was there.
Yep.
Yeah,
we went together.
The show was amazing. That was such a good show.
That was a great show. Yeah. Midnight City was obviously the big single that everybody would probably know. The sax part of that.
Yeah.
First on the record was amazing, and you're like, this is just cool. And there's not much else on the radio like that, using saxophone. And then to see it live and have it just be knocked out of the park like that,
yeah,
it was awesome. So yeah, no, that show was was pretty cool. A small venue, State Theater, like 1,500 people. We had a crew of probably 7 or 8 people. I remember walking after getting dinner and going up to the show and just being like, this is gonna be cool. And we'd met him, right? We met him before. We went to sound check before and met right after their sound check. He did a meet and greet with fans from the radio station, and that's how we get in. And then left, had dinner, and came back and went to the show. And the show was just awesome, just a great show.
I think I met up with you guys right after that sound check because I remember walking down Congress Street. Yeah, we rolled like 7 or 8 deep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Nice. Yeah, when was that show? 2011,
12?
That's got to be like 8 years ago.
Well, when did this album come out?
11?
2011, yep.
Yeah.
It's probably 12.
So this was probably, it's probably either late 11 or early 12, right? Probably early 12.
Yeah, so it came out October 18th, 2011. And yeah, that single,
it would have been spring.
Midnight City, was played for quite a while. In fact, all 2011, they didn't do Reunion until February 2012 as a second single. Yep. And then OK Pal, July 2012. I think we saw him like that summer, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been that time. My ticket stubs are in the other room. Sorry. I'd look it up, but
yeah, but I just loved him so much. And then when I moved out to California, they were still touring off this album. And kind of as contrast, where they grew from the success from this is like playing the State Theater. And by the time they got out to Cali, at least on like maybe the third leg of the tour, it was at Hollywood Bowl with them headlining. So clearly they reached new heights.
August 7th, 2012.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So I love this album so much. I listen to it, kind of revisit it. I feel like every 2 months, maybe if I'm road tripping or on the road, I'll play it once in a while. Just like play it front to back, just completely unplug and just, drive, be inspired by the music.
Hell yeah. So, that's a great one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be putting on The Urge tomorrow, Clutch.
Yep.
And M83 for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll be asking you guys for your songs to add to the playlist. So we'll have quite the mishmash. That's going to be a fun playlist to listen to because it'll be all over the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer vibes.
Cool. Summer posy vibes, baby. Cool. Well, I mean, that'll come up again because there aren't 6 albums out there that make everybody happy. There's plenty more where that came from. So we will definitely revisit this segment because that's what we can. We try to have things we can revisit and do again because there's just so much music to talk about, right?
Should we drop one that we almost mentioned, or should we just save everything?
Save it.
Okay. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we hinted at the beginning of next week if you want, but no, let's save it. There's so many. I have a good one here that I wanted to do, but we'll save it.
I mean, it's either it's either a good vibes album or it isn't. So if it qualifies, it qualifies.
Yep.
True.
Like 9 Inch Nails, The Fragile was an alternate. Not.
Yeah. Love that album. Yeah. Not happy. Cool.
Awesome.
So I think we'll probably wrap it for tonight. We'll tease that. We'll do this probably in another few months when it's the winter here in Maine and we're itching for some summer vibes.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap it, guys. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, check out these albums. Stay positive. Things are getting better. You can always kind of control your future, right? Because we've been doing it clairvoyantly.
Yeah.
So,
put positive out into the world.
Happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for checking us out, guys. As always, check us out on the socials. Subscribe, leave a review. We love reading that stuff. So if you got this far, thank you.
Yeah. Peace, podheads.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.